One of the things I'm trying to do more of this year is follow the thread, be more direct, ask the questions, explore the things that I think are worth exploring. Because when we don't, I don't think we could be at our best. So this is in that vein. I wonder sometimes, how are we supposed to care? And I mean that quite literally, and maybe also somewhat figuratively, rhetorically, maybe. Like, what is the right way to care about human suffering? A few days ago, there was a Monday Night Football game, and one of the players, I'm sure most people have heard about it, went into cardiac arrest. And I obviously don't have all the details, but as I understand it, he died on the field, had to be resuscitated, then again at the hospital. Horrific story, right? Young guy, apparently a good guy from what you hear. Not that it's a person, right? At the end of the day, a human being is suffering. In this case, fighting for his life. Somebody who has a family, and it's horrible. And we all saw it, or a lot of us saw it on national TV. And if you read the news, particularly if you're watching like sports stations or media, it's the talk of everything. There's coaches, players posting things about it, wearing hats to press conferences in honor of them. There's certain sports news shows that talked about debating if they should even have their shows run because it's just such a horrible thing, and it is a horrible thing. And it's in many ways a beautiful thing that people care and they want to show their support and they want to try and help in whatever way they can to ease his suffering, ease his family's suffering, hopefully help him be okay. It's a beautiful thing. But it's also an interesting thing when you think about it. And again, this doesn't dismiss or take away at all from the idea that what happened to him is horrible. And I hope he's okay. I hope he's okay right now. I hope he wakes up right now and he gets back to his normal life. Obviously, that should go without saying. But it makes you wonder, how should we care? Because those same people, sports news figures, coaches, play, whatever, doesn't matter. People, all of us, that are talking about this, that are thinking about canceling shows, that are making a show of it in a press conference, making it clear how much they're upset and supportive. Human suffering, in theory, right? If that's the point is that this person, this human, is suffering. Unfortunately, human suffering happens every day. It happens all over the world. It's happening right now as I'm making this video. And I think we, myself very much included, have to ask ourselves the question: is all human suffering equal? Is the point that anytime a human suffering that we should care, that it should matter equally? Or are there certain instances where it matters more? I think most of us would react pretty quickly to that question and say, no. Like, any human suffering is horrible. But then why? Why does this one seem different? And people will give explanations, which are valid, right? Well, it hit closer to home for people in the sports world or in the NFL or for coaches or players. It was on TV, it was on video. We saw it happen. All valid explanations as to why people care so much and are showing so much support and are so moved by this human suffering that's happening. But are we okay with that explanation? Are we okay if we think deeper about that and say, well, just because there's other human suffering happening that isn't close to home, that isn't my tribe, right, figuratively, that I didn't see on video, then I'm okay not caring about it as much? I mean, in theory, right, I think there was a coach who wore a hat with the player's name on it, which, again, a beautiful thing. I get it. It's not a negative thing. But you have to ask the question, like, why weren't you wearing a hat the day before this happened for any number of other people that are suffering, right? And you can literally, what do you want to pick? You want to pick Russia and Ukraine? You want to pick racism? You want to pick cancer? Like, pick the thing in which people are suffering. And it's a tough thing. I asked the question I asked to start this video. How are we supposed to care? Are we supposed to just care where we can, where it makes sense, where it hits close to home, where it's obvious? Are we supposed to care about everybody? Are we okay, declaring and being super vocal and going above and beyond to show how much we care about this person if we're not doing it for the other people? Should that coach walk out with 5,000, 5 million, 5 billion hats every day showing for support for everybody that's suffering? Some people hear that and they say, well, that's ridiculous. Can't do that. And why are you even commenting on this, right? Somebody's doing something positive. They're supporting somebody. Don't disagree. Yes. But how do we reconcile it? It's not suggesting an answer. It's not suggesting this person's grieving wrong or supporting somebody wrong or this person's doing it right. It's not, virtue signaling. It's not taking a moral high ground. I do it all the time. So I'm asking this question as much of myself as I am for anybody. What is the right way? Logically, rationally, emotionally, spiritually, what is the right way to care? Does it have to be all or nothing? Do we have to care about everybody equally? That's what we say, right? That's how we think of it. If you hear a story of a human being who fell ill and is in the hospital fighting for their lives, shouldn't that be enough of the story? Doesn't matter the context. Doesn't matter their age. Doesn't matter what country they're from. Doesn't matter if they play a sport or don't. Doesn't matter if it happened on TV and we saw it or we didn't. A human is suffering and fighting for their lives. Therefore, we care. That seems like the way it should be. Yet, the way we function is we only care in certain instances, seemingly. Or at least we only show, right? We only put our action behind it in certain instances. I think we have to answer that question. Is that okay? Is there a superficiality to it then, which takes away from it? And maybe the fact that we excuse ourselves and say, no, it's okay to care whenever you can. Caring is good whenever it is, even if it's in limited capacity, even if it's only when it hits close to home. What's the hidden cost of that? Does that do something to us as a society? Does it give us this illusion that we're better than we actually are? Does it allow us to function throughout the day because that's top of mind, right? That's front and center. That horrible thing happened. I have to, if I'm going to be a good person, show that I care about that. But if it's hidden, well, then I don't have to, and it's okay. What does that mean for us as a society? What does that mean for us in terms of trying to reduce suffering in the world if we're not being honest about it and what we actually care about and how we actually show our support and give our support? These are uncomfortable questions. It's uncomfortable for me to ask. It's easy to take what I'm saying and say, you're an asshole. And maybe I am. Fair game. Totally. Might be. But I have to believe that these are questions we should be grappling with and we should be asking. And I don't know the answers. I think we'll only figure out the answers by asking and talking and thinking about it and facing potential inconvenient truths. Maybe that person that is showing support in a very vocal, visual way, maybe they should feel a little bit like, why wasn't I doing this a week ago for somebody else that was suffering? How do I reconcile that in my mind? I don't know.